The cold metallic walls of the deep space colony settlement X-742 hummed with quiet electronic whispers. Hana Kim sat cross-legged on the smooth floor, her small fingers tracing invisible patterns on the cool surface. Outside the reinforced windows, countless stars flickered like distant memories of forgotten dreams. At 10 years old, Hana was different. Not because she looked unusual or spoke in complex riddles, but because something extraordinary lived beneath her seemingly ordinary exterior. Her parents, Jae and Yeon Kim, worked as senior technological engineers, spending most of their time maintaining the complex systems that kept their isolated human settlement alive. The colony was remote, positioned in a quiet corner of the Andromeda sector where human exploration had just begun to take root. Massive industrial machines processed rare minerals, and carefully controlled environmental systems ensured human survival in this harsh, unforgiving space environment. On this particular day, something felt different. The usual background noise of machinery seemed to pulse with an unusual rhythm. Hana's dark eyes, usually calm and observant, began to shift. She could hear whispers, not human voices, but something else. Electronic signals that danced between frequencies carrying messages no one was meant to hear. Her small hand touched the communication panel near her, and unexpectedly, the screen flickered. Strange symbols appeared, rapidly changing and transforming. Patterns of light and color that should not exist began to form complex networks across the display. Jae Kim walked into the room, his technical tablet in hand, preparing to run his routine system checks. He stopped suddenly, watching his daughter. With a mixture of curiosity and growing concern, the communication panel was displaying data streams that even he, with years of technical expertise, could not immediately comprehend. "Hana," he called softly, "what are you doing?" But Hana wasn't listening. Her consciousness seemed to be somewhere else, floating between the electronic signals and the raw data streams that pulsed through the colony's infrastructure. She was connecting, understanding, becoming part of something larger than herself. Suddenly, a distant alarm triggered. Something was approaching the colony, something that did not match any known signature in their database. Massive energy readings began to spike on the peripheral scanning systems. Yeon Kim rushed into the room, her face pale with unexpected tension. "Jae, we have an incoming unidentified signal. It's different." Hana remained perfectly still, her eyes now completely focused on the communication panel. The symbols continued to dance, but now they seemed to have purpose. They were communicating, preparing, warning. The colony's automated defense systems began to activate, but not through standard protocols. Something was guiding them, something small and unexpected, something that looked like a 10-year-old girl sitting quietly on the floor. Outside, massive shadows began to block the starlight. Unknown vessels, larger and more complex than anything humans had encountered before, were approaching. Their designs were organic yet mechanical, resembling living machines that breathed and thought. Inside the control room, Hana's breathing remained steady. Her consciousness expanded, touching the very systems designed to protect their fragile human settlement. She was not afraid. Instead, a strange sense of calm determination filled her entire being. The first wave of alien reconnaissance began. Scanning beams penetrated the colony's outer shields, searching for weaknesses, but where traditional defense mechanisms would typically struggle, something unexpected was happening. Hana Kim, a small human girl with extraordinary potential, was about to show the universe that size and age meant nothing when true power resided within. The alien vessels emerged from hyperspace like dark, breathing shadows. Their massive forms blocked entire sections of the starscape, casting ominous silhouettes against the colony's protective shields. These were the Varalan battlecruisers, living machines with biological intelligence that had conquered hundreds of planetary systems. Hana watched from the control room, her small hands resting gently on the communication panel. The adults around her moved frantically, preparing defensive protocols. Alarms screamed warnings. Emergency lights flashed red and white, creating a chaotic dance of color and sound. Jae Kim's fingers flew across multiple screens, attempting to activate traditional defense systems. "Something's wrong," he muttered. The targeting systems aren't responding correctly. Yeon looked equally concerned. The colony's advanced technology seemed paralyzed, as if something was deliberately disrupting their standard operational procedures. But Hana remained calm. Her eyes, deep and focused, looked different. They reflected something beyond normal human perception, a connection to the very technological infrastructure surrounding them. The first wave of Voralin attack began. Energy pulses struck the colony's outer shields, creating massive electromagnetic disturbances. Standard human defense mechanisms would typically crumble under such intense bombardment. Yet something unexpected happened. Where the energy pulses should have destroyed critical systems, they seemed to pause, redirect, transform. Hana's breathing remained steady. Her right hand, almost unconsciously, traced a complex pattern on the communication panel. Quantum-level interactions began occurring throughout the colony's technological infrastructure. The Voralin commanders, monitoring the attack from their massive battlecruisers, became confused. Their advanced scanning systems showed impossible readings. The human settlement wasn't just defending itself. It was actively responding to their attack in ways that defied known technological understanding. Impossible, growled the Voralin primary commander, his biological-mechanical interface displaying increasingly erratic data streams. No species can adapt this quickly. But Hana Kim was not an ordinary human. Her consciousness expanded beyond physical limitations. She was simultaneously present in the control room and deep within the colony's technological network. Each attack from the Voralin was processed, understood, and neutralized before it could cause significant damage. Defensive energy fields began shifting in impossible ways. Quantum entanglement transformed incoming destructive energy into harmless light patterns. The colony's systems were no longer just defending. They were learning, adapting, evolving. Jae and Yeon watched in stunned silence as their daughter seemingly controlled their entire technological infrastructure through nothing more than focused concentration. The Voralin attack continued, growing increasingly aggressive. Multiple battlecruisers launched concentrated energy bombardments, expecting to overwhelm the small human settlement. Instead, they encountered something they had never experienced in centuries of galactic conquest: complete technological resistance from a single, unexpected source. Hana's eyes glowed with a soft blue light. Complex data streams danced around her, invisible to normal human perception. She was communicating with the colony's systems in a language beyond human or alien comprehension. Fascinating, whispered Yeon, watching her daughter transform their entire technological ecosystem. The battle continued. Hours passed. The Voralin grew increasingly frustrated. Their most advanced weapons seemed ineffective against this small human settlement. What they didn't understand was that they weren't fighting a colony. They were facing a 10-year-old girl who had become something more than human, a living, breathing technological interface with capabilities beyond current scientific understanding. As the final energy pulse dissipated, silence filled the control room. The alien vessels remained, watching, waiting, completely bewildered by what had just occurred. Hana slowly turned, looked at her parents, and smiled. A simple, innocent smile that held the potential to change everything humanity understood about technological interaction and evolutionary potential. The colony hummed with a strange new energy. Hana Kim sat at the center of the control room, her small body surrounded by complex technological networks that seemed to breathe and pulse with her own heartbeat. What had begun as a defensive response was now transforming into something far more profound. Scientists and engineers watched in disbelief. Hana was no longer just controlling the colony's systems. She was becoming one with them. Her consciousness flowed through quantum circuits, transforming raw data into living information. Each technological component responded to her thoughts like an extension of her own body. Jae Kim monitored the impossible readings. The colony's defensive capabilities had increased by over 500%. Neural networks that typically required massive computational systems were now operating through Hana's unique biological-technological interface. "It's like she's teaching the systems to think," Yeon whispered, her scientific mind struggling to comprehend what was happening. The Varalan observation ships maintained their distance, their advanced scanning systems continuously analyzing the human settlement. They had never encountered a species capable of such rapid technological adaptation. Hana's abilities continued to expand. She could now predict potential system failures before they occurred, reroute energy with a mere thought, and create defensive shields that defied known physical laws. The colony's technology was no longer just a tool. It had become a living organism with Hana at its core. Communication systems began picking up strange signals, complex mathematical patterns that seemed to bridge multiple dimensional frequencies. The young girl was creating a new language, a communication method that existed between technology and biological consciousness. Outside, the dark expanse of space seemed to watch and wait. The Varalan leadership convened an emergency council. Their most advanced analysts reviewed the data from the human settlement. Something unprecedented was happening. A young human was rewriting the fundamental understanding of technological interaction. She is not just controlling technology, one alien commander noted. She is evolving with it. Inside the colony, Hana's world had become a symphony of light and information. Quantum entanglement danced around her fingertips. Complex algorithms transformed into living patterns that responded to her slightest emotional shift. Her parents watched with a mixture of pride and concern. Their daughter was becoming something beyond human, a bridge between biological consciousness and technological intelligence. The colony's systems began to change. Traditional mechanical components started to integrate with more organic structures. Energy flow became smoother, more intuitive. It was as if the entire settlement was learning, growing, adapting alongside Hana. Distant observation vessels from multiple alien civilizations began to gather. They watched in stunned silence as a small human settlement demonstrated technological capabilities that challenged everything they understood about intelligent life. Hana remained calm. To her, this was as natural as breathing. She could feel the pulse of every system, understand the language of electrons and quantum interactions. The line between her consciousness and the colony's technology had become blurred. Days passed. The Varalan maintained their observation, waiting for an opportunity to understand or exploit this unexpected development. But Hana's technological symbiosis continued to evolve, becoming more complex with each passing moment. Her parents understood they were witnessing something extraordinary. Their daughter was not just a child anymore. She was a living bridge between biological potential and technological evolution. The universe watched and waited. Quantum frequencies danced. Information transformed. A new understanding of intelligence was being born. And at the center of it all was Hana Kim, a 10-year-old girl who was about to change everything humans knew about their place in the cosmos. The technological symbiosis continued, promising a future beyond anyone's imagination. The galaxy held its breath. Observation ships from multiple alien civilizations gathered around Settlement X-742, their advanced scanning systems working overtime to comprehend the impossible phenomenon unfolding before them. Hana Kim stood at the center of a technological storm. Her small body radiated an energy that defied all known scientific understanding. Where traditional human technology would fail, she created miracles. Quantum fields bent around her, responding to thoughts that hadn't even fully formed. The Varalan leadership watched in growing terror. Their most advanced weapon systems became useless against this single human child. Communication networks collapsed when Hana focused her attention. Energy barriers materialized from nothing, creating impenetrable shields that consumed incoming attacks and transformed them into harmless light patterns. Alien scientists argued in their vast conference chambers. Some believed the human child was a weapon. Others saw her as the next stage of evolutionary potential. Entire research teams dedicated themselves to understanding how a 10-year-old could manipulate complex technological systems with mere thought. Jae and Yeon Kim monitored their daughter's incredible transformation. The colony had become an extension of her consciousness, Every system, every circuit, every energy pathway now responded to her unique biological-technological interface. Massive communication arrays across different star systems began picking up strange signal patterns, mathematical sequences that seemed to bridge multiple dimensional frequencies. Hana was creating a new language of communication that existed between technology and consciousness. The Galactic Council convened an emergency session. Representatives from hundreds of advanced civilizations watched holographic recordings of the human settlement. Their most advanced analysts struggled to comprehend what they were seeing. "This is not just technological adaptation," one senior alien scientist reported. "This is a complete reimagining of intelligence itself." Hana's abilities continued to expand. She could predict system failures before they occurred, redirect massive energy streams with a simple thought, and create defensive mechanisms that challenged everything known about physical laws. The universe seemed to pause. Something fundamental was changing. Alien observation ships maintained constant surveillance. Their scanning systems showed impossible readings. A human child was essentially becoming a living, breathing technological network. She wasn't just controlling systems, she was evolving with them. Strange quantum interactions began occurring around the settlement. Energy patterns that shouldn't exist started forming complex networks. The very fabric of technological understanding was being rewritten by a child who saw the world differently. The Vorlon, who had initially launched an attack, now watched in complete bewilderment. Their most advanced weapon systems became useless. Communication networks collapsed when Hana focused her attention. Energy barriers materialized from nothing, consuming incoming attacks and transforming them into harmless light displays. "We are witnessing the birth of something new," whispered an alien diplomat watching the holographic displays. Hana remained calm. To her, this was as natural as breathing. She could feel the pulse of every system, understand the language of electrons and quantum interactions. The line between her consciousness and technological infrastructure had completely disappeared. Massive research vessels from multiple civilizations arrived, their scientists desperate to understand this unprecedented phenomenon. They brought advanced scanning equipment, hoping to unravel the mystery of the human child who was rewriting the fundamental laws of technological interaction. But Hana was beyond their understanding. She was creating a new language of communication, a bridge between biological consciousness and technological potential that no one had ever imagined possible. The galaxy watched and waited. Quantum frequencies danced. Information transformed. A new understanding of intelligence was being born. And at the center of it all was Hana Kim, a 10-year-old girl who was about to show the universe that humanity's potential was far beyond anything anyone had ever imagined. The final moment arrived without drama. Hana Kim stood perfectly still, her small frame surrounded by a soft blue light that seemed to breathe with its own consciousness. The entire settlement X-742 had become an extension of her being, not just a technological system, but a living organism that responded to her slightest thought. Alien civilizations watched in complete silence. Thousands of observation ships hung motionless in space, their advanced scanning systems struggling to comprehend what was happening. The Vorlon invasion force, once confident in their destructive potential, now found themselves completely neutralized. No weapons fired, no blood spilled. Just pure, calculated technological dominance emerging from a single 10-year-old human child. Quantum fields danced around Hana. Complex energy patterns transformed incoming threats into harmless light displays. Her consciousness expanded beyond physical limitations, touching every system, every circuit, every potential line of technological communication. Jae and Yeon Kim watched their daughter with a mixture of pride and wonder. They understood now that Hana was no longer just their child. She had become something more, a bridge between human potential and technological evolution. The colony's systems responded to her like a living body. Each component moved with purpose, with intelligence that went beyond traditional programming. Hana was teaching technology how to think, how to adapt, how to survive. Alien diplomatic vessels arrived, their intentions no longer hostile. They came as students, as observers, as beings desperate to understand this unprecedented human potential. Research teams from multiple star systems prepared their most advanced scanning equipment, hoping to unravel the mystery. But Hana was beyond their understanding. With a simple thought, she neutralized the entire Varalan invasion force. Complex communication networks collapsed. Energy systems became harmless. The most advanced technological civilization in the known galaxy was reduced to passive observation by a child's unique ability. Humanity is not just a species, one alien, Diplomat whispered. They are a force of unpredictable evolution. The universe seemed to pause. Something fundamental was changing. The traditional understanding of intelligence, of technological potential, was being rewritten in real time. Hana's consciousness continued to expand. She could feel the pulse of distant star systems, understand the language of quantum interactions that existed beyond human comprehension. The line between biological consciousness and technological infrastructure had completely disappeared. Research teams from hundreds of civilizations studied every moment of the encounter. They analyzed quantum signatures, tracked impossible energy, transformations, and tried to understand how a single human child could demonstrate such extraordinary capabilities. The settlement itself had transformed. What was once a simple human colony now resembled a living, breathing technological organism. Systems responded with intelligence, with purpose, with a level of adaptation that challenged everything known about technological development. Alien observers recorded every moment. This was more than a defensive encounter. This was a demonstration of potential, a glimpse into what humanity might become. Hana remained calm. To her, this was as natural as breathing. She saw the universe not as a collection of separate systems, but as a single interconnected consciousness waiting to be understood. As the final energy waves dissipated, a new understanding emerged. Humanity was no longer just another species in the vast galactic ecosystem. They were a potential key to understanding the fundamental nature of intelligence itself. The Galactic Council would debate this encounter for generations. Scientific papers would be written. Entire research institutions would be dedicated to understanding the quantum technological interface demonstrated by one small human girl. But in that moment, nothing else mattered. Hana Kim had shown the universe that true power wasn't about destruction. It was about understanding, about connection, about the incredible potential that exists when consciousness and technology become one. The transcendence was complete.